at these featherweights. These are the only 5 featherweight champions that have ever been graced with the belt in UFC history. From left to right, Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria, Conor McGregor, and Alexander Volkanovski. Who is the best featherweight, in your opinion? Sound off in the comments. Tag me. At me. I don't give a fuck. Do it. Who's the best featherweight, in your opinion? I know who I think it is. I think it's Max Holloway. I know what you're going to say. Conor had the most exciting run. Conor beat Aldo in 13 seconds. You might say Ilia Topuria is the moment right now. Guy has no holes in his game, seemingly. I think all finishes as well. Let me go ahead and check my math here, if I may. Ilia Beauty came up, not Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, let's see real quick if we may his record, his fights. 16-0. Couple of decisions in there. Okay, couple of decisions. Decision against Josh Emmett. Man, I thought he TKO'd Josh Emmett. Damn, he fucked Josh Emmett up. And Josh Emmett is a sturdy, durable fucking featherweight too, and he throws bombs. We've seen Josh Emmett fucking almost kill people. You saw what he did to Bryce Mitchell. You saw that shit. You might say it's Ilia Topuria, right? He's in the moment. He has beaten Volkanovski and Holloway, who were both incredibly good champions and some of the pound-for-pound best fighters to ever grace the UFC. And I don't say that lightly. I know that, UFC is it's almost like the news cycle. Like, if it happened a couple months ago, do you even really remember it? Does it even really matter now? It's very like, what have you done for me lately kind of thing. Some guys lose one fight, and I see fans, casuals usually, but I see fans write them off entirely. Ilia beat both of these guys when they were coming off of pretty fucking good, last couple of fights. Alexander Volkanovski the exception, because he took that short notice fight against Islam Makhachev and he got head kicked. And then he fought 2 months later or something like that, month and a half later, against Ilia Topuria. Ilia fucking closed the distance, used that slick boxing on the inside, that mid-range, and he was able to really fuck up Volkanovski, and it was kind of unbelievable to watch. Then he knocks out Max Holloway, and you're like, whoa, this guy's the real deal. Now, is it an older Max Holloway? Yes. Is it a more shop-worn Max Holloway? Probably. He's taken a lot of hits. A lot of the hits that he's taken are to the head. And I remember the strike differential. I looked it up one time. Max Holloway, for every strike that he delivered, there was it wasn't even that. It was like he absorbed something like 3 strikes per minute or something like that. And that does not for a very Merry Christmas make. I think that Max Holloway is definitely still up there. Justin Gaethje, that knockout against Justin Gaethje, I mean, that is a top 5 all-time knockout for me. Max Holloway destroying Justin Gaethje in the very last second of the very last round of a fight that he was winning after pointing to the canvas and showing these guys out there how it's done. You might say it's Volkanovski because he beat Max. He beat Aldo. He had a great run in his own right. I think it's Max. I think Max is the best featherweight. I think you have to look at their records and who they fought and when they fought them. Jose Aldo has a great number of title defenses, was ranked top 5 in the world pound for pound for a long time, for a very long time when they introduced the rankings, I think back in 2014. Jose Aldo was number 3 for a while, number 3 or 4. It was like John Jones, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo. And then, he slipped off. But, the thing about Jose Aldo is he came back, and the dude is still crushing people. I know he's got a couple of losses recently. Petr Yan beat the shit out of Jose Aldo. But, I mean, that was a title fight as well, and I think Jose Aldo did really well up until that point. And not really well. I don't necessarily. I'd have to rewatch it. I don't think he was winning that fight against Yan, but he was definitely not losing it in a landslide. And then when things fell off in that fight, they fucking fell off. And that was the fight that you really knew that Petr Yan was the real deal. He had that front kick against Uriah Faber. Cool. It was Uriah Faber 20 years after he was Uriah Faber. The California kid. That really opened up a lot of our eyes. But I mean, Aldo coming back and proving even now at lower weight classes, Aldo for whatever you guys want to say, Aldo is a technical mastermind. And, I know everybody loves his leg kicks. The dude is slick. The dude has excellent boxing, excellent body work with his hands, too. Excellent body work. I mean, remember that Jeremy Stevens fight where he just hit that liver shot, and you saw that kind of delayed reaction when someone hits the perfect liver shot, and Stevens just wilts and crumbles under the lights, and Aldo finishes him. Conor, what can we say about Conor? His run up to the title, a lot of people thought he was being fed opponents and perfectly match made, but then what happens? He goes out there and he KOs Aldo. First guy to beat Aldo in years, and Aldo lost the belt to Conor. And then what happened? Lost to Diaz, avenged it, some say. There's a salty picture of me in that one. Durain, that salt whore Durain took a picture of me after fucking Nate Diaz lost to Conor McGregor in the rematch at 202, and it's just me being like, fuck that. Delete that picture, Durain. No, I'm kidding. It's a funny picture. I think it's Max Holloway. Because of the streak that he went on. And the only two I really want to compare here are Volkanovski and Holloway, right? Because that's where for me, that's the only real contender to Max Holloway's, for the metrics that I look at with this stuff, and I think we have to set aside Aldo. Aldo was the first UFC featherweight champion, and he has, I think, the most title defenses. Most UFC featherweight defenses. Let's see the list. Held the title from 2010 to 2015. But here's the thing. He fought against guys like Chan Sung Jung. The Korean Zombie is great. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love the Korean Zombie. And the loss in that fight is a weird one because Zombie threw a punch and his shoulder dislocated. I know a little something about that. And Aldo just saw that he was trying to put his shoulder back in the middle of a round, and Aldo saw it and capitalized on it, and they stopped it. But Aldo was fighting guys in a different era who were not as well-rounded as he was. He had that step ahead. And while Aldo was still Aldo, he lost to some guys that definitely audited him. He lost to Volkanovski, he lost to Holloway twice. I think Aldo, the most decorated featherweight champion for sure. The best featherweight champion, well, that, my friends, is an entirely different conversation. So I want to look here at Volkanovski's record here. Leading up to the title, he has a couple of wins against lower level guys. Then he starts breaking out into the limelight of the featherweight division, right against Darren Elkins. Decision. He KOs Chad Mendes when Chad Mendes comes out of retirement. He beats Jose Aldo. Decision. Beats Max Holloway not once, not twice, but 3 times, right? With that Brian Ortega fight in there. Beat Chan Sung Jung. Chan Sung Jung probably shouldn't have been in there. Probably Chan Sung Jung was overmatched greatly. And Volkanovski definitely sent him to the shadow realm, and then I think he fought Holloway after that, and Holloway knocked him out, and that was an emotional one if you're a real fan, because Chan Sung Jung's been there for a lot of the great moments. But then Volkanovski gave Islam a great fight, and you're like, damn, he went up in weight and fought the featherweight or the lightweight champion, and Islam, for whatever we dislike about the Dagestanis, unless you're one of those stans, Islam is one of the best in the world. They have him as pound for pound number 1. I don't know, but Islam is the real deal, dude. He's the heir apparent to Khabib Nurmagomedov, maybe even better. Definitely different, definitely a little bit more well-rounded than Khabib was, but dangerous. He beats Yair Rodriguez, then he loses to Islam again, and then he loses to Topuria, right? Now, it's not his losses that really dictate why I think Max Holloway is better than him, but it's the quality of the fighters and when he fought them, right? Again, that's what we're talking about here. That's what my personal metric, that's not my only metric, that is my leading metric in who is the best here. And now we look at Max Holloway's record, 26-8, and let's take a look at this run that he had going up to the title, okay? Because this is very important. This, I think, is I think his title wins are better than Volkanovski's. They're certainly more diverse. But this is what really put Max Holloway on the fucking radar because Max Holloway was on an incredible win streak. And I remember his last 2 fights before he fought for the belt, people were like, he should fight for the belt. And they're like, nah, we're going to have him fight Cub. He should fight for the belt. Nah, we're going to have him fight Oliveira. He should fight for the belt. Now, surely he's going to fight Jeremy Stevens. He should definitely be fighting for the belt, Ricardo Lamas. And at that point, it was undeniable. And Max Holloway himself, during that time, he was saying, like, I don't really care. I don't care about that. He wasn't calling for his title shot early. He wasn't out there trying to set up a beef with the champion or anything like that, or get the fans on his sides to call for this. He just went in there and did the work and beat contender after fucking killer, after savage, after legend. And then he was undeniable. And they gave him the fight with Anthony Pettis. And I believe it was the interim title fight. Let me see if I can open this in another tab and get a look at this. It was for, well, they don't say, it was for the belt, and it was against Anthony Pettis. Now, Max Holloway, I think Conor had just vacated, actually. Max Holloway beat Anthony Pettis' ass and took the belt. All right, that was on Anthony Pettis going down to 45. He maybe shouldn't have. And he was definitely audited by Rafael dos Anjos, and that he was on kind of a skid after that. Max Holloway then goes on to beat Jose Aldo twice. And Luke Thomas does a great video on this, a great technique breakdown, where he beat Aldo in orthodox the first time, right? And so he's moving to the left, right? With your lead foot, you want to move to the outside, not to the inside. Max Holloway is going to the left because he's in the orthodox stance primarily, right? He switches kind of liberally. And then for the rematch, what did his team do? They had Max Holloway fighting from southpaw more and moving and changing the direction. Aldo was so overwhelmed by that change, like mentally overwhelmed. He had trained so hard to fight Max Holloway that he had already fought that he thought fought a certain way. And then Max Holloway goes in there and switches it up on him. And switches it up not in the sense where it's like, oh, now he's doing takedowns. Now he's fighting off of his back. Now he's adding more volume. Like, dude, no, Max Holloway went in there and changed the actual the style that he fought with, not in the sense that like, oh, he's more boxing oriented where he used to be kickboxing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about style in terms of like the tactical approach that you take to a fight, right? And it's very important because you can have certain tactics and a game plan going into a fight, but the approach that you take to a fight, that's built for months and years and in millions of thousands and millions of repetitions in the gym, right? That kind of builds your instinct as a fighter, and that builds your habits as a fighter. And Max Holloway did what I consider to be like one of the harder things to do in fighting, and he changed his habits and his tactics, and he went ahead, and after that, he had a brutal fight with Ortega, right? Calls the stoppage in the 4th, and he's like, damn, I was off. And then the fucking doctors stop it before the 5th when they're on the bench. Crazy. Goes up and fights Poirier at lightweight. Okay, he was outgunned. It was a rematch, too. Lost via armbar to Poirier at featherweight. Poirier looked like he had a little bit more firepower in that fight. It looked like the damage that Holloway was taking just was a little bit too much. Goes back down, fights Frankie Edgar for whatever's that worth. Frankie's a legend in the sport. Frankie, I think, did he need to be in that title fight? I don't necessarily think. I don't like the word deserving, right? Because deserving has a different weight to it, and like if anyone deserves anything, it's certainly a legend like Frankie Edgar. But I mean, was he the most challenging contender for Holloway at that fight? No. I don't think so. And then, he has the 2 losses to Volkanovski. I think he won the second fight. A lot of people do, but they are what they are on the record. Excuse me. Goes in there, fights Calvin Kattar in one of the most insane fights in the world. Breaks the record for strikes thrown and landed in 5 rounds. Has that amazing moment where he screams at Calvin Kattar, I'm the best boxer in the UFC, I'm the best boxer, and he looks at the commentators and he screams again, I'm the best boxer, and as he's looking away, Calvin throws a punch and Max slips it and counters simultaneously without looking. I mean, those are moments that live rent-free in my mind. Those are moments that we draw inspiration from as fans and even just as regular outside people, right? You could be not really a UFC or MMA fan, but be at a bar watching a fight. You could be my girlfriend and I'm making you sit down and watch a fight. And that is a moment that shakes people to their core because it's a triumph. It's a triumph. It's someone being in the zone. It's someone having the ultimate belief in themselves. And what do we feel when we feel that? We feel like inspired, right? Maybe you're not a fighter or even a martial artist, but maybe you want to go in there and be the best at what you do. And one day you're at work and you just have you're in the flow state. You're fucking hitting everything how you need to hit it. Maybe you're making sales and you're just fucking closing every sale and you're like, I'm the best. And when someone comes at you, right, when you're in those moments, certainly we've had those moments, big or small, stage, right? Might not be under the bright lights for thousands watching, but maybe it was just in the quiet office and a couple of people witnessed you, and then a curveball comes and you fucking weave out of that, and you fucking continue to just steamroll the day, and you're meeting the moment, and it's like those are the moments that really make you love MMA, right? Max Holloway is the fighter that gives us those moments. What does he do after that? Nail-biter fight with Yair Rodriguez. Wild fight. Yair certainly did great, but Max comes away with a decision. Goes and fights Volkanovski. Third loss, and I'll give Volk this one. I'll give Volk the first one, too. Some people say the first one was closer than it was, or it was a robbery. I don't think that. I think Volk won the first one. I think Max won the second one, but whatever. The judges gave it to Volk on some fucked up judging criteria. We were in COVID, so, we'll give that one a pass. And then he gets kind of battered here by Volkanovski en route to a decision loss in the third fight. So there's that. He fights Arnold Allen a little bit closer. Are we seeing Max slip? Arnold Allen did all right. Max wins comfortably, right? Wasn't like it could have gone either way. If Arnold Allen had come in with a couple of different technique changes or game plan changes on the fly, I think he could have taken it to Max Holloway, but he doesn't. Max Holloway beats another contender, right? Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen. These guys are top contenders at the time, right? Especially Calvin Kattar was like 5th in the world at the time. And he's beating these top contenders, right? What do? They give him Chan Sung Jung, and he sleeps Chan Sung Jung right at the start. Right in the beginning of the fucking third round, 23 seconds into the third round, hits him with, like, Korean Zombie pulls what he did on Yair and has the same result. Not the same strike, but the same result. He charges in, Max meets him and pivots, and fucking Korean Zombie slept face down on the canvas. Brutal fight. Then what does he do? He goes up in weight again against another guy like Dustin Poirier, who has firepower in Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is known as the most exciting UFC fighter. He is known as a guy who will get hit to deliver a bomb. He is known for swinging for the bleachers when he fights, right? And then when he made those tactical adjustments with Trevor Whitton and he kind of reeled himself in a little bit, you saw how dangerous, you saw he kept that danger and that power and that ability to shut people off. And Max Holloway, there was a lot of worry going into this fight for Max Holloway. He's going up again to 155 to fight Justin Gaethje. This isn't like some Joe Blow, number 15 in lightweight. This is Justin Gaethje, dude. Fucking, what does he do? Breaks his nose in the first round with a jumping, spinning back kick, much like we saw with John Jones last weekend, and proceeds to dominate the fight. Has a little bit of a moment there in the fourth round. Not for the whole fourth round, just for a little window there. Justin Gaethje lands a couple, and you're like, ooh, I don't know. It's the problem with Justin Gaethje. If you can take one, do you really think you can take two? How about three? How about as those punches you just took take a toll on you, and you're starting to be a little bit gun shy. Maybe you're a little bit dizzy or wobbled. Maybe you're a little bit tentative. Justin Gaethje, those usually open up for more damage. And Max Holloway was cool under pressure, kept his movement, beautiful footwork, right? Beautiful volume on his strikes, right? This is the guy that beat Calvin Kattar with like 700 plus significant strikes. Goes in there, tees up Justin Gaethje for 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and then points at the ground and says, right here, does the traditional Max Holloway thing I think I first saw him do with Ricardo Lamas. right here in the middle. Come meet me right here, and we're both going to scream, I don't give a fuck, and we're going to see who means it. And Justin Gaethje, let me tell you, that is the exact right guy to do that to, because Justin Gaethje will meet you right there, and he does not give a fuck. And Max Holloway slept him. Max Holloway knocked his fucking head off of his shoulders into the Andromeda Galaxy. Gaethje face first like a fucking 9/11 controlled explosion at the base of the towers, just on the canvas, not even twitching, just snoring, face down. Max screaming, I'm him. I mean, I talked about it with the Calvin Kattar moment. That moment was even better. That fight, I sat down and made my girlfriend Hannah watch with me. And Hannah's not huge into fights. I tried to get her to watch Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald too. It's one of my favorite fights. And she was paying attention. She was excited, but definitely like there's a lot of blood in that one, and there's a lot of texting during that fight. So when she was as shook as I was about the result of this fight, that's how you know it's a moment that transcends the sport. It's a moment that transcends social media. It's a moment that like hits you in your core. And if you're not a big fight fan, you don't like the blood, you don't like the violence, even then you're gonna feel something. And Max Holloway giving us those moments, yes, he lost to Ilia Topuria just now, but Max Holloway gave us moments where we felt we could be more than we are. And that is why, my friends, I have Max Holloway as the greatest featherweight in UFC history. Not the most decorated, sure. Not the most bombastic, not with the biggest hype train behind him like Conor McGregor, not with the technical prowess of a man that he lost to 3 times in Volkanovski, and certainly not with what appears to be, by all accounts, the next wave of MMA, right? Maybe MMA as a whole, like the meta, is changing, and there are new blends of skill sets needed to thrive in this new environment, right? New guys coming up that have been training since they could walk. And maybe he's not that guy. Maybe Ilia Topuria isn't, but as of right now, it seems like he is. But Max Holloway has delivered win after. He's done everything. He's fought for the belt, defended against contenders and veterans, had an undeniable win streak, has gone up and had great moments, has broken records, and has just been cool hand Luke the entire time. Shit happens, he loses, his son is crying backstage, his little boy, and what does he say to his son? He's like, hey, this is life. It is what it is, as Max Holloway would say. It is what it is. Max Holloway is give me one shot here. Max Holloway is representative of what humans can achieve, not just in fighting, but in life on a broader scope here. Max Holloway is the type of fighter that makes people fall in love with the sport, makes people want to go out and run, makes people want to go to the gym and try a jiu-jitsu class, makes people want to just be the best versions of themselves because of his belief, because of how he carries himself, because of his performance under the bright lights. And that's the kind of fighter that I believe, when you add up all those other things, right? He's fought the contenders, he's won the belt, he's defended the belt, he's gone up weight classes. The cumulative effect of all of those things that he has, cumulative, sorry. Max Holloway gets the words all jumbled up in me. Those are the things that people consider legendary. That's what legends are made of. Max Holloway will certainly be in the UFC Hall of Fame, and he deserves every fucking inch of the space on the wall that they hang his picture, because Max Holloway is one of the most exciting fighters in the world, one of the most dynamic fighters in the world, one of the coolest people in the world, just living in Hawaii, surfing with like his beautiful wife and his son, and just like doing the damn thing. He is an example for what people should be as humans. He is an example for what a fighter should strive to be, and his ability to adapt and never stop learning and make the right choices when it matters most and deliver exciting fights. And that is why I have him as the greatest UFC featherweight of all time. If you disagree, Totally fine, baby. We live in America. This is Trump's America now, bitch. Disagree. Tell me in the comments why you think I'm wrong. Who do you think's the best featherweight of UFC history?